And welcome back to Tables of Goodness. It's been a while since I talked about my most anticipated TCGs of 2025, and I believe it's time to dive a bit more into my number one, Star Heroes. So, Star Heroes by the Space Collective is a 4X board game with strategic card play that is bound to hit Gamefound in the near future. I was able to play a print-and-play version of it, but more recently, a workshop for Tabletop Simulator has been released and is now the official open beta version. And I want to stress that this game is still in beta, and thus this preview or review actually might discuss some things that will be addressed in the final version. Still, you should be getting a very good idea whether this game is something that you might like or not. As I said, it's quite a unique mixture between board game and TCG. Your cards will dictate what kind of space fleet you'll be able to build, as well as which heroes you will be able to send into space, and the game board itself reflects the progress of your conquest in space. In order to win the game, you have to either acquire 30 Eternium shards by means of missions and research, reduce your opponent's homeworld shields to 0, conquer all your opponent's zones, or defeat 5 of your opponent's star heroes. Well, let's talk a bit more about the most crucial points that I took note of during my plays before looking at my final verdict. Card and card art. Star Heroes subscribes to a zero AI art principle, which I welcome a lot. The card art is sci-fi-space inspired, as you would expect, and sets the mood just right for me. Some of the color choices are a bit difficult, I guess, and the font used could be slightly difficult to read as well, but this is something that can be easily addressed during production. Cards themselves will be sold in boosters and can be used to augment your decks. From what I understood, there will be starting decks as well, so you can get started without making modifications to your deck if this is not your thing. This means that you can actually deck build as much, but also as little as you want. Whether a starter deck will be a viable option actually to battle against a constructed deck, well, I think this will remain to be seen, because it could be that it's just not strong enough, right? Mechanics. In general, most things that you might want to do, be it building things or recruiting crew members, support crew members actually, require depleting zones. If you move one of your star heroes into an unoccupied zone, you will be able to conquer a zone. This nets you a marker on the map and a zone token. Think of zone tokens as your resources if you're familiar with TCG resource management. If you want to recruit a support crew member, for example, you need to spend zone tokens equal to the star rating. This means that not only is it important to keep conquering zones in order to gain resources, but also to defend zones that you already own so that they can't be snatched away from you. If you lose a zone, you also lose a zone token, and thus very important resources. By far, though, my most favorite mechanic is building ships. Ships, or vessels as they're called in the game, are built in an area on your board called space dock. If you decide to build a vessel, it will move into your space dock face up and will be unusable during this turn. Now, always imagine it being built and then later on unloaded into your fleet for your next turn. Since vessels are built face up, this gives your opponent a glimpse into what they might need to defend against next turn when it's readied. Vessels are necessary to attack an opponent's homeworld. Should the opponent not have any vessels to defend his homeworld with, the homeworld's shields are being reduced, and if they ever hit 0, well, they're toast. Star heroes, spaceships, space stations, and so on can also engage in missions to acquire Eternium shards, one of the many other paths to victory. Player count. The game itself is made to be played by 2 to 4 players. I was only able to test run 2-player games so far, and they were good fun. I can imagine a 4-player game to be a massive struggle to keep your conquered zones in check, though. It might be exactly what makes the session interesting. I just can't speak to whether it would be too much a back and forth. Rules and issues. Well, the rules are really quite simple, and we managed to get started in a few minutes' time, which is fantastic. The quick start guide itself is just 19 pages thin, and there is actually a lot of pictures in there, but I think that's also where currently the biggest issue lies. There's just a lot of different scenarios that can occur that I could not find answers to, and this might be a complete non-issue. Again, these are beta rules, and Richard, the creator, was extremely helpful answering all my rules questions, so most edge cases seem to have been thought through already. There are also some mechanics that are slightly harder to track, like conquering planets, for example. This supposedly takes 3 play cycles, but there is no suggestion nor an obvious way for me to track that other than remembering that Space Hero XYZ is currently doing that for 3 cycles. We've also somehow run into the issue of running out of hand cards as we got to build so many things, and this might be us at fault here, I don't know, but we didn't find anything obvious that we were doing wrong. A slightly minor thing that we noticed is that the symbol greater than and lesser than mean equal to or greater than and equal to or less than, which is, well, mathematically incorrect. So my final verdict, all in all, we had a really fun experience though. In my eyes, Star Heroes is something really unique. It's a TCG-like with a board game, and it works really well, which is kind of surprising because it manages to fuse both of these elements together. We were whizzing around in space trying to battle for zone domination, building an armada of vessels that we send into battle with each other while trying to defend our respective homeworlds, complete missions to collect Eternium shards, and conduct research in order to get unique rewards. If the rules are slightly tweaked and fleshed out a bit more, I think we got a winner here. It won't replace any of the more traditional TCGs that I'm playing, but it will be a very welcome addition. If you want to play 4X in space with up to 3 friends, you'll find the links to Discord, to the Gamefound campaign and the Tabletop Simulator workshop in the links in the comments down below. And who knows, maybe we get to battle in space soon. Until then though, see you again next time on Tabletop Goodness.